Well, hello everybody, and welcome back to Drive Time at Ears to the East, where my throat is still recovering, and where Neon is still just as wonderful as ever. And it is time for us to, oh my God, I take that back. And it's time for us to look somewhat into the future, because today we're talking about we've been kind of, oh God, sorry, that was talking about a future that kind of shocked me out of my brains. My phone just went, stop. Anyway, where was I? Yeah, so basically, we're talking about some exciting stuff that's coming up. We've been away for a couple of weeks, and there's been some big announcements. I mean, I mentioned in our last video about how I was at the finale of the BAND-MAID Hall tour, and of course, they announced there about their new album, Epic Narratives, coming out in September on the 25th, I believe. That along with Neki's new album just dropped, their debut, and of course, I think you mentioned as well, LiSA. There's a lot for us to get into. So, yeah, and any exciting things coming up that you wanted to? Wait a minute, I just read what your title says, you bastard. Anyway, do let me know what wisdom you wish to drop upon us.
No, just a lot of things that are happening. Really, to be honest, there's a lot of new bands, a lot of new artists. There's a little bit of a backstory to this. Obviously, you've been gigging for this week as well as being ill. You've been illing and gigging. Sounds like a great
I
title to a
I I
song, man.
I did them in the right order, I should point out. I didn't just get sick and decided to go to a crowded place. That was not my intention.
Yeah.
For 2 seconds. Just need 2 seconds.
All right, well, 1 second.
Okay,
You
I'm going
can
to
have,
talk a little bit.
yeah,
Hi,
you talk.
This is me talking. So anyway, as we're alone now, I wanted to tell you some deep dark secrets about how Ears to the East is made. It's exactly the way it looks like. It's a couple of guys get on a free version of Zoom and talk for a while. No, so I mean, when it comes to albums coming up this year, um, I think the new neki album that just dropped, the 5-track EP debut, is in my mind one of the best debuts that I've heard from any group. Absolutely, yeah, really exciting stuff that has been, and every single track on that I thought was truly wonderful. So I'm picking through that because I think it was a band where everyone expected them to have a sound that was similar to BAND-MAID, and I was just so glad that they didn't. I mean, the opening track sounds a bit like BAND-MAID. Maze, which I thought everyone thought was Maze, but it's Maze, the opening track from the new that neki album. It sounded a lot like BAND-MAID, but you take a bit like BAND-MAID, but you take that to one side. Every other track is they sound like their own band. They're carving their own identity. So for me, it's amazing when a group comes with that much hype, and hype that sometimes is gifted to them from another fan base, and you can't help but feel this is just like lots of people pushing someone so heavily forwards that all that's going to happen is they're eventually going to trip and land straight on their face. But instead, what we got is a group who were ready for it, who had a brilliant EP in their pocket, a brilliant mini album in their pocket, had a fantastic set of songs, 3 videos already, just wonderful stuff. So yeah, for me, definitely at the moment, I would say the debut of this year, unquestionably. Can't think of anything else to even compete with it. But yeah, so I'm excited considering it's such a short album. If they're anything like Trident, we should have their second album before the end of the year.
I would
Yeah,
advise people not to get too excited because you like them. They will inevitably split up at some point.
um, that can happen. So well, while you tell us about something you're excited about, I'm gonna like try and solve my voice by pushing honey into my mouth. So you just keep
Fair,
you talk,
fair
you talk.
enough. I mean, like, yeah. So Howard's been gigging and illing or illing and gigging. We still don't know which order it is, but I've been ill as well, and yeah, there's been lots of things I've been catching up on, lots of artists that have been dropping, and a few new ones. Obviously, neki being one of them, which I'll be covering like literally probably out by the time this is out. But what I've really been enjoying as well is the what I consider a little bit of the renaissance of LiSA. She's been doing a lot of collabs recently, but she's just released a song called Black Box, which is for me personally a astounding return to form, because everybody knows my love for LiSA, but she's been doing a lot of collabs and stuff recently, and a lot of other stuff. And even me, who absolutely loves her, a lot of her stuff has been like hit and miss recently. Like some of it's been all right, and then a lot of it has been quite for me personally misfiring. So to see her kind of like come back with a proper big music video, a proper good like rock
Right.
ballad as well, or a rock pop blend, which I think is what she's her
What
best at.
what was your feelings on Shouted Serenade? And is that on the same release? I just assumed, based on proximity, that both of those songs are from an upcoming release together. Is that correct?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, and I like the direction of where this is going, especially with like some of her recent songs as well. Because like I said, the one thing I've been thinking about is like like I said, she's been doing a lot of collabs and a lot more like poppy direction. But I may again, that's just my own personal preference here. A lot of people might disagree with me on this one, but I always think Lisa's at her best when she taps into that more J-pop, J-rock kind of genre. Like that's where I feel like she is at her best. So to see her kind of like return to that a little bit more, and that core sound, uh, for me, I'm genuinely excited again. And it feels like it's been a while since I can say I'm genuinely excited about new Lisa stuff rather than
That's awesome.
rather than obviously old Lisa stuff. So yeah, I'm happy. I'm happy with everything that's dropping from her recently.
It is funny because like one of the people who's quite a close follower on my community, and we've talked about a few things. He's a big fan of stuff like Gatrick Spin. You know, I know he's a guy with like really great taste in music, and he's a fantastic musician himself. And he's always extolling the virtues of LiSA. Yeah, LiSA this, LiSA that. And funny thing is, for all the time I've been into Japanese music, and we talked about when we did that episode about comparative monthly listeners on Spotify, and LiSA's just like in a different like fucking planet from even anything else, with exception to Yoasobi. But when it came to her music, I was just like, she's kind of skipped me by. You know, she's one of those people. I think because she was very anime focused, I haven't really listened to her. So anyway, I was convinced by this guy who was like, oh, and he was playing me a lot of the songs, and they were relatively recent ones. And every time I heard them, I was like, I get that she's talented, but I was like, these songs they sound kind of generic. And I gotta be honest, nothing was really getting through to me. And then the other day, like literally, it wasn't even that long ago. He was like, well, look, I'm going to play something from something Parade. It was like one of the way back when ones.
Mm.
And he played that to me on one of our Twitch streams, and I was like, now I get it.
Yeah.
Now I get it. It was okay. So by modern standards, the song does sound dated, the one that he played me. But it was just immediately upon listening to it, I was like, yeah, I was around those years, those early 2000s with Japanese music, and I went, at that time for this to drop, yeah, I was like, now I get it.
Yeah.
It was just this really interesting, bubbly mixture of rock and J-pop that was just spot on the money, accessible, fun, bit of that anime vibe, but ultimately just like good rock music. And not in a heavy way, in like
Yeah.
a fun, accessible way. You could still like rock out to it, but it didn't like demand that you have to like sort of like wear black to get through the bouncers to listen to this music, you know. So I was really taken by that. So for me, a LiSA Renaissance makes more sense now that I've heard that comparison. It's not like she hasn't got talent. It just feels like a lot of the stuff I've heard from her, the more recent stuff people have tried to sell me on, just sounds kind of like, that could be anyone.
It feels like the last 3 years, I feel like she's kind of like just done other things, or like I said, she's done a lot of collabs, which I think that have been very below par, very forgettable. I know
Any notable artists she's collabed with? I'm
I
just gonna
I
see if
could
I can pick up anything.
I couldn't tell you. I listened to a couple of them, and then it was one of those where you're like, okay, that was a thing. Anyway, you
Yeah, no,
know,
I get that. I get that.
so she's been doing that. Obviously, she's had a little bit of personal problems as well with like the husband and
Oh, fuck no, really?
yeah, as well. So the last 2 3 years, it just feels like we've just been waiting for a good old kind of like again a good old rock J-pop Lisa kind of song. And yeah, when I heard Black Box and I heard some of the rest of the album as well, I was kind of like, yes, I was like, at last, this feels like a really good return to form, which I'm really excited about. Other things that I've been like really vibing off recently, a little bit, maybe left field, but I've got the top for it on while we're here, so I might as well talk about it.
Yeah, right.
SAKI has been releasing some absolute awesome stuff, and I know maybe
Really?
not everybody appreciates a musical 18. Uh, I don't know what order you're gonna drop these videos.
Nah, that's I wouldn't start counting from the
Yeah.
last video. Yeah, let me count going on my coughs in my last video. I don't know if that's a wise thing to keep going, but anyway.
But yeah, Saki's been dropping some absolute banging tracks, and the music videos as well have been so creative.
Really?
For her, yeah,
Wow.
she released a song called I think it's New Empress, or The Empress, even. Sorry, I stand corrected.
So is this
Yeah,
just guitar?
this is
Guitar
just
focus?
guitar. This is just guitar
Nice.
focus. And the more I see what she is doing with the solo stuff, the more I can see why she left
Cool.
Nemophila. Whereas maybe Nemophila's gone maybe a bit more in a more cleaner direction. She's just absolutely kicking ass, man. She reminds me of like the female version of Amora a little bit. She's got that
Cool.
yeah, she's got that blend of like Amora, Hazaki in her.
These names are
Um,
going over my head.
um, Instrumental stuff is great. I know I'm probably the minority in that case, but yeah, no, I love a good,
I mean,
I love a good
when
instrumental.
when it comes to instrumental, I know this is like not a popular school of opinion, but like instrumental, I kind of like I like classical instrumental, I like jazz instrumental. Rock instrumental can be good, but as a general rock artist tend to find works better with a voice. But when it comes, you can have good music which is like guitar solo led. It's just I think there's significantly less of it proportionally speaking.
Yeah.
So I'd be really interested to hear that. I didn't even know she'd started putting out material on her own. I think I'm probably in the minority of actually being very pleased with the direction that Nemophila are going in, which I know is not a popular opinion. I
Mhm.
think some people feel like they've stepped away from why they first fell in love with them. But I mean, as I mentioned when Nemophila first came out, I was like, they sound like a tribute to all the old things that we would have liked before. But I was like, where is your original sound? It doesn't even have to reinvent the wheel. It's just how are you going to distinguish yourselves? And Seize the Fate came along, they got a little bit more of that, and then it seems that Evolve, took that a little bit more. But I think as they've more and more found themselves a little bit of sonic identity, I think it has separated them a little bit from some of the heavy rock purists. And
Yeah.
I suspect that Saki in herself, she was one of those. I don't know, we can only guess, but I suspect she was one of those hard rock purists, and I think she wanted to go back to that kind of thing. Ironically, a little bit of a Koi vibe, very ironically. Um, I think that's probably what she wants to head towards. So I haven't heard it yet, but it certainly sounds. I do know. I mean, if she's enjoying herself, that's the most important thing. Yes, sounds like she's having fun. If she's doing creative videos and stuff as well, and she's really taking the reins and making something of it, then hell yeah. So you think she's just going solo now? So there's not going to be any other bands or projects like that from her, probably.
I don't know, maybe sometime in the future, but I think she's just enjoying the solo instrumental stuff. And doing instrumental stuff's like the hardest thing to do. I don't think people realize that. Like you need like if you've not got singing on there, it needs to be good. Like that, it needs to be like that song needs to have a hook. It needs to be catchy, and it needs to be on it at all times because let's be honest, in this day and age, people have got very short attention spans, and if you can't keep people tuned in for the entirety of that song as an instrumental, then people are gonna not listen to it again. And it takes a very talented person to be able to write a song that keeps you entertained, hooked, and bouncing all at once. And yeah, she's up there. The more solo stuff that she drops, the more I appreciate it a little bit more. Talking about solo stuff though, as well, somebody else that I've been really liking recently, been kind of going down a rabbit hole a little bit, is UTAHA.
Oh, UTAHA, yeah.
Yeah, she dropped fairly recently. I mean, it's probably I think it's a week or two old now. But again, we've both been sort of ill recently. But she dropped "My Body Is Cute," and I can't help but not like that song. Not like that
Uh,
song.
yeah, I mean, when I mean, the funny thing is that I sort of begrudgingly started doing the reactions again because people really wanted me to talk about more songs. And sometimes you do reactions, you just feel like you're having to like, oh, I got to like basically just think of a review on the spot. So you're trying to make sure you get everything in place. But then sometimes the reaction actually works, and something catches you in a way that you don't expect, and the video actually is a reaction. It's not just you sort of commenting on something. Yeah, there actually is a reaction element. And I have to say that. I mean, not having watched my own video back, I think my reaction to that was one of the most genuinely interesting reactions because I've been a Wednesday Campanella fan for bloody years now. Sort of 2015, I think. Yeah, I've been into Wednesday Campanella forever. And the funny thing is that like I've always enjoyed Utaha's contributions, and I think she's been a brilliant leader. So when she was doing solo stuff, I was like, oh, okay, well, let's see. I wonder where this is going to go. And she's got another song I think called Teenager that I haven't heard yet, I should point out. But when I heard this song, My Body Is Cute, I was like, okay, is this gonna be like some edge thing? And I watched it and just genuinely, not only was it so full of joy, like it was genuinely full of joy. I think it also spoke to a lot of the things she said about her own, trying to find herself when she was younger. I think, and we put that all together. What you got was a song that was fluffy and pop, but it felt so honest and so real, and it was so well constructed, and it was just an absolute, just a bundle of joy, that song, but not in a paper thin way. It really felt like honest, genuine, heartfelt joy just sort of oozing out through every second of audio. I absolutely adored it. I thought it was just like an amazing song. I really did.
Yeah. It's taken me a little bit of while to get into the Wednesday Campanella hype, a little bit. A little bit late to the scene on that one, I must admit. But I really enjoyed it. And then seeing like lots of her solo stuff. I think that sold me a little bit more as well. Seeing her solo stuff at the minute dropping, and I've been really enjoying it, so seeing that and then going back to the old stuff. I watched a video on stream the other day. I can't remember the name of the song, but it was a Wednesday Campanella song, First Take, when they were on the first take, and I was
She's
blown.
brilliant on that.
Yeah, she was brilliant. I said that in chat. I was like, it's like the first take, people are quite stoic and like quite concentrating and trying to get that pitch perfect thing, but she was just laughing and having fun and wearing the most god awful dress in the world. But she didn't give a shit. She was like, yeah, fuck it, whatever. I'm gonna do me. But she just seemed to have so much fun and so much personality when she was singing. I loved it.
She looks like a parachute fell through a sweet shop.
Oh, I said that before. I was like, I can't get over that dress, by the way. I was like, she's obviously done that on purpose. I'm gonna pick the most god awful dress ever. when
exactly.
I'm doing this.
But you can see how happy it makes her because she just likes being that garish, crazy person, and I think that's great. It's her form of expression, which is what the song talks about a lot. But funny thing is that Wednesday Campanella themselves, almost immediately after checking out that song, My Body Is Cute, I checked out the latest song from Wednesday Campanella, and it was probably the most boring Wednesday Campanella song I've ever heard. I couldn't believe it. I was like, it was such a pivot of emotions. It was this song Carolina, and a few people have mentioned about it, but it was so dull. And some people said, oh, it was made in the competition over a couple of days. I was like, well, then you should have made it and probably put it to one side and just left it there, because it was like, this is not up to their usual standards. So it was rather ironically that but I'm sure Wednesday Campanella will be back on top of it in no time. And I'm really interested to check out Utaha's second song, which I think is called Teenager. See if that hits the same like quality as that first one, because just what an absolute joy. Do you mind if I just pivot slightly towards while we've got time? I think we should probably mention so there has been the new trailer for the new BAND-MAID album, Epic Narratives. And I guess we should have a quick talk about that one, because I mean, we've already heard a shit ton of the album already, haven't we? So
It amazes me how much they've dropped actually, like actually announcing it, and then they're just like, yeah, oh, here's a song, here's a song, here's a song. And I'm kind of like, I have mixed feelings about that. Honestly, because at one point I'm like, "Way, new BAND-MAID song," but at the same time I was like, just like I want to be surprised on the album as well. Like, keep some of it hidden, or at least half of it. Some of the big hitters. I don't want to hear it until like a week before the album comes out.
yeah,
They're dropping a bit too much, I think.
so I'm just having a little look through here. And they got the whole playlist, as I assume it's going to be on Amazon. Just looking for it. So apparently now I don't know whether this track listing is correct. Something tells me it's probably not, because they got the first song as Memorable, which I'm assuming it's not going to be. But so we've got Memorable is going to be on there, Shambles, Bestie, Protect You, Show Them featuring The Warning, Maggie, and so that means that how many songs have we got that haven't already heard? Well, we got Toi et Toi, Toi et Moi, I don't know, something in French. Forbidden Tale, Go Easy, Brightest Star. I think Brightest Star is one of the ones they've been playing live, actually. So I might have already heard that.
Can I give you a
One,
controversial take?
good. So 8 we haven't heard. That's quite a lot.
Yeah, that is quite a lot, actually, to be fair. But I was going to say, my controversial take for me personally is that this is probably the least excited I've ever been for a BAND-MAID album.
So so I just before I answer that, just can you explain that? Because I've heard people say similar things. But I've heard people say the opposite as well. So
I think it's a mixture of, I think they've shown too much of it already. I think it's a mixture of some of the tracks that are on there I don't particularly think deserve to be on that album. Like the Warning collaboration. I think that's good, but I don't think that should be on there. Bestie as well. I feel like that was a bit underwhelming, if I'm being honest. It's really weird because I stick BAND-MAID on such a high pedestal. I just
I think
think,
most of us do, yeah.
yeah, I just think the latest few songs have just been not quite there and a little bit sort of there. I haven't heard anything particularly yet, and again, I'm trying to avoid as much as I can as well, because I want to do like a full breakdown of the album and stuff when it comes out.
So what I've gathered, and apologies, I think that one of the tracks I'm about to say we haven't heard. I think actually we have heard, but to the best that I can confirm, 6 tracks we've heard, 8 therefore we would have not heard, which means okay, at least we've got half the album to go, which is more than Scandal usually allows us. So that's a good start. And still it's a long album, so there's a good number of tracks. Now, if I had to be honest, I have very mixed feelings, because I think my feeling about this album has got more positive over time. I agree. Bestie is a song that I do find it kind of underwhelming, and I think the more I've heard it, the more I've been like, it just doesn't really work for me. I don't hate it; it's just not really my kind of thing. Shambles I like. Protect You I like. Both of them are fairly sort of solid, don't reinvent the wheel kind of BAND-MAID songs. So that's great. But then we look at the other songs that are going to be on there as well. Memorable, I think it's a really lovely song. I think it's beautiful. I think every time there's a ballad on a BAND-MAID album as well, I'm just happy for that, because again, I want to have their albums have variation. It's important to me, everything from Daydreaming to Page onwards. I think it shows what's so special about them when they have that, and Memorable is such a wonderful song. So that makes me feel positive. The song with The Warning, look, I've said this before, and I'll take a little bit of a heat, because I know you've been taking a lot of heat with the comments you just made there. I'm sure there's lots of angry people in the comments already. I'm not the biggest Warning fan, as you know, so I've got my hopes very much set to hopes high, expectations low on that one. But do you know what? I think from what we heard of the live recording, it's going to be pretty good. It's going to be all right. It's not. I don't think it's going to be like the greatest thing ever, but I think it's going to be catchy. And Maggie, I actually really like that. I think it's a good song. Yeah, it's again, it's very simple. It's a bit poppy for some people, but it's a lot of fun. And for there's been so many people complaining about not so, but there's been a fair few voices complaining about BAND-MAID songs have been so hectic, blah 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 blah. Recently it's all been like too high speed scratchy guitars, there's things like that I keep on hearing. I'm like, well, now they're going to do something melodic and catchy, and if people don't like that, it's like, what the bloody hell are they supposed to do? So I do.
I was
Honestly,
just going to
I
say
feel,
that. I was like, I feel like they've really calmed down for this album. Maybe that's why, because I'm a big fan of the chaoticness of BAND-MAID. Again, maybe I'm in the
I
minority
think it's
there.
going to have both. I think it's going to have, by the sound of it, I think they're going to have both, which for me that's kind of what I wanted more um from Unseen World. Yeah, Unseen World's a great album, but I wanted a bit more variation on it. And you know, is this going to be as good? Am I going to love this as much as I love Conqueror, which is my favorite BAND-MAID album? I can't be sure yet, but it certainly is it certainly seems to be showing all the positive signs of variation and stuff.
I'm sure this album is going to be great. I just can't put my finger on it why I'm not as excited for this as I know I probably should be. But I'm nowhere near as excited as I was for, like you said, then Conqueror and Unseen World. I was like, I was buzzing and couldn't wait for them. I've not quite got the same.
I get the feel. Oh, by the way, I just want to quickly say, just quickly to reword. I suspect just sort of confirming the wording that you were going to use there. I think what you mean by simple is that this album is probably going to be more accessible. I would think they want this album to be easier for people to get into. When it comes into the excitement though for this album, I think you're partly right in that they've given a lot away in advance. But I think the other aspect as well is I think I mentioned this the other day. Yeah, it's part of the laws of basic band physics. You get to a certain point, there's going to be a plateauing in the you know, if we think about what BAND-MAID was back in Just Bring It, they'd just taken over the reins of writing. World Domination, they were scaling things up. Conqueror, they were going into new territory. Even Unseen World, you know, they were still relatively breaking out India. They were going on to Pony Canyon, finding brand new audiences. The truth is that they're still growing, but it's the unknown, I think, a lot of the time that gets you excited. And I don't think there's that much in the way of unknown about this album. We already basically know what the singles are going to be. We know what they sound like. We've heard leaks. We've heard versions. So the singles are kind of out the way. So basically what we're looking forward to is a set of album tracks, which might, as are sometimes the case for a lot of bands, turn out to be the best tracks on the album. We don't know.
Hopefully.
But
and a decent fucking music video, please, if you're watching.
Do you know what? When they showed that tiny clip of the BAND-MAID warning music video, it's just the first few seconds, but immediately it was them silhouetted with lights in the background. It's like, you used that same fucking director, didn't you? That same guy who puts you in different empty rooms, shines a couple of spotlights, then runs around like a headless chicken with a camera. Now, does it work? Yes, but it does mean that every music video looks the same. So for God's sake, help the man.
I know.
So I think he's going to have directed that video too.
They need the director who did SAKI's video, because again, for an instrumental, that music video is brilliant the way it's done. If you haven't watched it, go and watch it. Probably another band. Go on, sorry.
I just want to quickly, Joe. We had a conversation over there, and I honestly meant this with no harm. If you ever see the list of, if you go onto Wikipedia and check out who directed all of BAND-MAID's videos, I was going through a list of what my favorite all-time BAND-MAID videos were. And it was like Domination, Afterlife, and what's the other one? I can't remember now. But yeah, the three videos that were like my favorite three. Oh yeah, and Unleash. And I was like, my three favorite videos, just they were like the only three that were not directed by this guy. And I was like, that shit's embarrassing. But it's like, doing a serviceable video is not a bad thing. But anyway, go on, carry on.
Oh yeah, I know what you mean. The music videos. Yeah, I feel like we're well overdue. Like a
Experiment.
really, like a decent BAND-MAID video. I can't remember which one was it. Which video is it? I can't remember the top of my head. I'm awful with names. When they're all in cars and then the canoes on top of the
Warning.
Fire.
Warning.
Yeah, it feels like forever since we've had like a decent music video like that. Like I feel like since that drop, every music video has just been by the books and really
well.
bland.
I guess we should be happy that their videos aren't just all live videos. That happens too often. It's like, well, let's just hear some live footage. It's like, all right, it's basically just trying to sell me on getting a concert ticket.
Yeah, that's another annoying trend at the minute. And
Anyway,
as much as I love Love Bites as well, Love Bites do it too much.
as we got 10 minutes left on the free version of Zoom, you were
We're
gonna
not worthy.
you were gonna you were gonna mention something else. So I'm
Oh
gonna
yeah, just another band that I think's been really, really kicking ass recently. Another band I think when they debuted, I absolutely fell in love with them. They've released a couple of songs since, and I was kind of like, nothing's quite hit that height of that initial first song when they
Right.
dropped for me. But this latest one, I absolutely love. Again, I was like, yes, that's so good.
All right.
East of Eden with
I know you were big on them. I haven't
Mm,
heard the new song. It's because it came out while I was ill. I didn't have a chance to
yeah.
listen to it. I thought I'd do a reaction thing
The
to it.
new song
But
is absolutely phenomenal. Love it.
really,
Mm.
really,
Yeah,
okay.
it's a big step up. Like me and you always talk about, and like even though we love these bands, the one thing I love about yourself and myself is obviously like just because we love something doesn't mean we're never critical of something. Like we can see the
Well, no,
positives and the negatives of
I,
the things
I
that we
would never
like.
trust someone who can't be critical
Mm,
of something because it means that you're delusional. So you got to have the ability to say, "I love this thing," which is
mm.
why I was saying that's the thing I want them to
Yeah,
improve
and
because that's how you really.
East of Eden, the initial song that they released, I really loved it, and the other two songs after that I thought were good, but they weren't
I
quite up
really,
there.
I really like the one that looked like an insurance advert for them walking through the city, and the,
But
that was a good song. But then apparently someone else wrote that. I was like, oh, okay, that was a cool song though. I think that was the one before this one.
well, but the latest song, I can't remember the name of it now. I'm gonna have to freaking Google it.
Mm.
But that was really amazing, and yeah, no, freaking once that dropped and I heard it for the first time, I was like, oh God, hell yes. I was like, when you get that feeling of like just I don't know, like nourishment or just like expectation. You just feel fulfilled. And
Yeah,
that Easter Eden song, like when it dropped, I was like, yes, that's what I've been wanting from these girls. That's what's been missing for the last two songs, and I really enjoyed it, to be honest. So
yeah, no, that's kind of that sort of sense of fulfillment when you hear a song and you just go, oh, that's it. That's everything I wanted.
mm,
Um, that's a really nice feeling. Um, again, that's kind of a lot of what I was saying about recently when like last year when I was talking about that spate of Gatrick Spin songs after W, this year talking about things uh like Neki and that song that solo song by UTAHA. You know, these are songs where it's like you say, it's like you listen to them and you just go,
mm.
yeah, I didn't know that's what I needed, but
Crossroads
yeah,
as well.
that's it.
That's the name of the song, by the way. Sorry.
Crossroads. All right, all right. That's that'll be next one I check out then. But and also I should point out After School as well have been feeling that way for me. They've been a band who
Mm.
just arrived on the scene and they got a real special thanks vibe to them. But I think that they're going to be quite something. Maybe not sort of like internationally famous, but I think they're going to be
Yeah.
carrying a lot of the really great rock tunes for a while.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, the one
they're
band I won't
really
be
good.
following anymore is Maximum the Hormone because they released a new song the other day, and I know you've got obviously your issues with the band that should not be named, but they hit me with a strike. So the other day, so
Of
of
course they did because that's
course
what the
they
fuck
did.
they do. It's
Um,
because they don't give a fuck about yeah I'll as you've got a couple of minutes I'll just round this up by saying I have never had a problem with bands doing whatever they want when it comes to their copyright material. Even if they want to say no, we're going to block you, sorry, we don't want that video going online, I'm okay with that. I think it's foolish, but it's okay. But a strike is such a malicious thing to do. It's like, no, I want to damage your channel. I want to like try and take you off the internet. And I don't know if it's the same for you as I had with them, but you can follow out where the email came from, and I'd be
yeah,
interested to
I
know,
looked. It's not a company email. It's a
did it
personal
come
one.
from their team?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it did.
yeah. Yeah, which basically they go out there and they like to spend yeah, it's a shame because obviously I'm a massive Anna fan and I did a song with them. And I kind of said, you know, it's like, I'm not vindictive, no skin off my own nose, but I'm not even going to listen to that song because I just don't want to expose myself to, you know, just don't want to be involved in it. You know, I'll still be an Anno fan long after this. I'm just not interested in that. And yeah, if people enjoy their music, good for you. And honestly, I don't want other people to feel they have to take on our gripes. But I just think it's worth saying and putting it out there. It's just be aware these people, for all that sense they give of being fun, their teams sit online and have been doing this now for, as we can seemingly attest, over 5 years, looking for people promoting their music. And rather than saying, hey, we don't want that, they literally go out there and they try and shut those channels down. So yeah, I have no respect for those fucked up little edgelords. Go fuck yourselves.
This video
fucking
getting striked now.
dreadlock. Fucking eat a dick. You can't strike me for giving my opinion.
It's just a shame
Fuck you.
because it's a band that I've really loved and really supported. And I don't know why they struck that one. I got vids on my channel with like
I'm
hundreds
gonna
of
guess your
thousands of
video
views.
was positive as well.
It was positive as well, yeah. It was really
Yeah.
positive. I enjoyed it as well.
Fucking scumbag.
I know, right? Another two other acts I want to say that I've been enjoying this week. I discovered a new band. I believe you ran into them this week as well. Called Akai Kurage.
Oh, Akai Kurage. I heard, which one was that? I think that came up on my Twitch.
It's a really small kind of like up and coming band, but they had like a really
Oh, is it the one with the scratchy singer?
Yeah, the really unique singer.
God.
And I must admit, it took me a while like to decide whether or not I liked it or not. But I got to give them props for being like really unique and a little bit different. Because I was kind of like, at first I was kind of like, I don't know whether or not I like this. But then once I kind of got out of the initial phase of like, all right, let's take a step back and kind of like gauge this song as a whole. And then by the end of it, I was kind of like, you know what? I really respect what she's doing and where she's going, and I ended up really liking it in that way. But I can already know that it's not going to be for everybody. It is Marmite.
I should probably describe it for a lot of people first of all. And basically the background is like fairly simple but energetic, like blues, punk, rock, you know, da 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 kind of stuff. And then the singer over the top, she does something that basically just kind of sounds like a screeching, growling. It's not like a roar or anything like that. Just and so you can imagine it's kind of got this punky energy. And I was kind of saying that in a way it reminded me a lot of the energy of Lazy Guns Brisky, who I was a big fan of back in the day. They had a very similar approach, but they relied kind of slightly more on punky vocals and everything, you know, a little bit of melody and harmony, but a lot of like punky vocals and a bit of shouting every now and then and losing your thing. But to me, just because she just did that scratchy voice all the way through, it just like, it never had any impact. It was just there all the way through and it became really tiresome. And considering I had a sore throat at the time, I was listening to her like, oh, you are making me feel unhappy. But if she'd just done that like in the choruses and maybe done some like tensed up vocals in the verses and then just gone full screech in the chorus, I think that would have worked. But yeah, it didn't really work for me, I'll be honest. But
I want to squeeze one in because we got a minute and a half left. But CyberJapan Dancers Bounce. Go and watch it.
God.
Go
just
watch it and
because
thank
the
me later.
producer tagged you on Twitter.
I wasn't watching that
for the intro.
I wasn't watching that video
to get invited over so you can spend some time with CyberJapan Dancers, aren't you? You're waiting for your invite. You're doing a little bit.
If the producer's watching this, call me. Let me know. Fly me over.
No, it was definitely a thing worth checking out. So well, no, guys, we got like 30 seconds to go.
If you haven't seen it, go and type it in YouTube now. Thank me later. Come back to the video and you can thank us both.
Bounced by CyberJapan Dancers. You kind of know exactly what you're getting. Anyway, remember, folks at home, like, subscribe, all that stuff, so you can see us again hopefully soon if you can bear it. And remember to keep your ears to the east. Oh shit, I gone too far.
He looks better that way.